Chris Paul completely changed the Phoenix Suns. Let's get into this. Before this season, the Phoenix Suns have been historically bad. They haven't even made it to the playoffs in a decade. And it's not even like they were close one year where they're the 9th seed or whatever. They weren't even close. Every single year they were the bottom feeders of the league. And even though they were getting draft picks every year, they can never improve and make it to the playoffs. And last season, the Phoenix Suns were finally starting to look a little bit decent, and they had a pretty nice young core of Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, but they couldn't end up putting it together last season. But this last offseason, the Phoenix Suns ended up bringing in Chris Paul, and he completely changed everything for them. This year, Devin Booker is playing better, DeAndre Ayton is playing better, and even Mikal Bridges is playing extremely well as a guy who's a 3-and-D type player. And to top that off, the Phoenix Suns are now the first seed in the West, and who could have predicted that before the season started? Chris Paul really unlocked so many different players in the Phoenix Suns, allowing them to be so much of a better team than they were previously, because they previously did have this pretty good core, this young core, but they were never able to put it together. But when you bring in a guy who could really bring everything together and is a great passer and gets open shots and easy shots for her teammates, especially guys like Mikal Bridges, and also can run the pick and roll extremely well and get easy dunks for guys like DeAndre Ayton, you really need a guy like that for those two guys, and that really opens up your team. Because a guy like Devin Booker has been playing better this season, of course, but he's always been playing this good. He's just that talented of a scorer. And for Chris Paul individually, in terms of his stats, he's also been putting up great numbers this season. He's averaging 16.2 points per game and a really good 8.8 assists per game on a really amazing 50% from the field. Ever since Chris Paul was traded to the OKC Thunder, he really revived his career, and now he's known as a guy who can really take a young team and a really good young core to the next level. He obviously puts up great numbers, as I said before. He's putting up really good numbers. Even last season he put up great numbers, and he gets guys open shots. He can score the ball still. He's still a very good offensive player, but the main reason why I think that he really takes the teams to the next level is the fact that he's such a great mentor. We saw back in OKC, he really took SGA under his wing, and now look at this season. SGA is playing out of his mind and looks to be poised to be on his way to an all-star career. And this season, he's really taking Devin Booker under his wing, and Devin Booker has been playing great this season. Devin Booker has always been great, and he's always been an amazing scorer and a very talented scorer, but it seems this season he's really taken his game to the next level, and I really think Chris Paul is a big part of that. And Chris Paul doesn't only help the guards and the point guards, because obviously there's other guys on the team that he helped. And when you look at the OKC Thunder, you look at Lou Dort this season, I'm not saying that Chris Paul is completely behind that, but I think he's a pretty decent reason behind the fact that Lou Dort is so much better this season than he was before, because before he was known as a liability offensively, but he was a great defender, and that's why he was on the team. But this season, Lou Dort has been playing so well offensively, and I don't think it's any coincidence. So to list out the reasons why I think Chris Paul really took the Phoenix Suns to the next level, I like to talk about it in 3 different steps. So first, obviously Chris Paul's been amazing on the court this season, putting up great numbers and getting wide open shots for teammates. So obviously that's going to help the Phoenix Suns put everything together and be a lot better this season, because especially for a guy like DeAndre Ayton, who can run the pick and roll with Chris Paul now, and DeAndre Ayton never really had a point guard to do that consistently with him previously, so that really unlocks DeAndre Ayton. And when you run the pick and roll with two guys like DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul, it's extremely effective and really opens up everything else in the offense, because DeAndre Ayton can also pop. He's a very good mid-range shooter, and he also extended his range to the 3 slightly. He's more of a corner 3-point shooter, but he could definitely hit 3s at times, so the threat of that really opens up everything else. As well as Chris Paul throughout his whole career has been an amazing mid-range shooter, so he can come off that pick and roll and easily pull up for that mid-range shot, and that's very effective as well. And now when you got the pick and roll working extremely well, that really puts a lot of pressure on the defense, and now they have to bring in an extra guy. And now you can easily, if you're Chris Paul, you can easily kick out to one of your guys like Mikal Bridges or whoever else they have on the team, and they could easily knock down 3s, and now you're really in trouble as a defense defense. But Chris Paul doesn't only help DeAndre Ayton in the pick and roll and other three-point shooters they have around the perimeter, he also helps a guy like Devin Booker. Because in years past, Devin Booker has always been an amazing scorer, but he's been the only guy on his team that could really score the ball, which puts a ton of pressure on him, especially in the clutch, and maybe he would miss his shot because there was no one else that could be a threat of even scoring. But this season with Chris Paul, he's definitely a threat of scoring. In my Knicks game especially, when the Suns played the Knicks, Chris Paul went off in the clutch and really took a lot of pressure off Devin Booker. So if that were the case, now it could be either one of them, and the defense really has to respect Chris Paul and Devin Booker, which makes it easier for either one of them to score in the clutch. Obviously, having Chris Paul on your team when you're on the court helps you extremely, and really is the biggest reason to why the Phoenix Suns are the #1 seed in the West. That's absolutely insane. But another factor that I touched on before is the fact that Chris Paul is such a great mentor for these guys. He doesn't only talk and tell you what to do, he also shows you and puts in the hard work and shows you the hard work that he puts in, which really gets a lot of young guys motivated and makes them realize what it takes to really be great. When a guy tells you gotta do this and this and this in order to be great in this league, but that guy's not putting in the work himself, it really makes you not take that guy seriously. But when you look at a guy like Chris Paul, who's accomplished whatever he's accomplished in his career, and he's been such a great player throughout his career, and you see that he's playing great still at this age that he's at right now, and he's still putting in that work all the time and is the first one in the gym and the last one to leave, you really take that guy seriously. I can't tell you how much Chris Paul helps the Phoenix Suns off the court as well, just in terms of his mentorship, as I said. That's why a lot of times when teams are rebuilding and bringing in completely new players that are all young guys that they drafted themselves, they also typically bring in a few veterans to be there to teach those young guys how to be a professional and how to win and how to really be great in this league. As a young rookie coming into the NBA, it's obviously pretty daunting, and you really need that older guy that's a veteran and has been through the league for a while now that could really teach you what it's about. And the last reason why I really think Chris Paul completely changed the Phoenix Suns is previous to Chris Paul coming to the Suns, they had a pretty decent young core, as I was saying, but they could never really put it together. But now I think Chris Paul really changed the culture with the Phoenix Suns, because before this, the Suns were known for having a pretty toxic culture, and Devin Booker was on the record for potentially wanting to leave the Phoenix Suns if they didn't get any better. And luckily for them, they got Chris Paul, and everything really changed with him. And now with a better culture, obviously that helps in free agency, because you can bring more players in that otherwise wouldn't have came into the Phoenix Suns program. And now even if Chris Paul leaves that team is known for having a better culture, and more players would want to come in. Because when you look at a team like the OKC Thunder, Chris Paul was only there for one season, but he completely changed their culture, and he completely changed the guys on that team. And now when you look at guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Lou Dort, they got some other nice players on their team, they all took their games to the next level. So he really left a long-lasting effect on that team for the better. And also now more players would want to go to the OKC program because they got better players on their team now. So even if Chris Paul leaves the Phoenix Suns after a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, he's really going to leave a long-lasting effect on that team. Chris Paul really definitely changed the Phoenix Suns for the better. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Chris Paul really changed the Phoenix Suns and he was the main reason, or do you think other guys in the team were the main reason why the Suns are so much better this season? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. Until the next time, peace out, guys.